Hello everyone. Today's my presentation's topic is the myth of individual choice from first the road not taken to the hostile culture. Here is my academic detail and presentation detail. Here is the table of content. And my research question is, does the road not taken celebrate autonomous individual choice or does it expose the mechanism by which such choice is constructed as the retrospective myth? And the hypothesis of this presentation is the poem's contradiction anticipates the ideological operations theorized across all sources. Self-deception governs subjectivity, meritocratic myth, and purchase labor without the sincerity those formatting require. In the introduction, almost everyone gets it wrong. The popular and misreading of this poem. On the word for world basis, it may be the most popular piece of literature ever written by an American. The poem signature lines appear in over 2,000 news stories and 400 books titled by author other than Frost. Frost, intended as the gentle jest at Edward Thomas, indicates yet its irony was missed even by the Thomas himself. The folk frost described by the frost, the passing there had warned them really about the same, and both the morning equal lay in leaves, no step at Thornbeck in the frost line. I shall be telling this with a sigh, the manufactured story of choice. The poem isn't salute the can-do individualism. It is commentary on the self-deception we practice them constructively the story of our own lives. The speaker admits in the poem that roads were really about the same in line 10, yet predicts he will claim the one less traveled by, anchoring the lies before he tells it. Frost repeated I in the final stanza signals uncertainly regarding the I that is being asked to fill the gap between the choice and the project future. Finger confirmed Frost himself shifted reading by 1962. He reads it as the autobiography, demonstrating the poem's mechanism working even on its own author. The tyranny aspects of choice, post-industrial self-making and its cost. Choice brings a sense of overwhelming responsibility into play, and this is the bound up with a fear of failure, a feeling of guilt and anxiety that regret will follow with we have made a wrong choice. In Frost's poem stage, idealized choice condition exactly one traveler, two options, no other people, no culture, no moral pressure. The poem side, the speaker anticipated tone, age and age's hands perform exactly this anxiety. Choice as a burden narrated as a triumph. A hyper-responsible self. Self-help literature as a liberal governance. Self-help literature which exalts the individual over the social is elaborately consistent with the political rationalism promoted in advanced library democracies. Rimke's Foucauldian analyze shows self-help production citizens who are governable, predicable, calculable, classifiable, self-conscious, responsible, self-regulation, and the self-determined. The poem circulated inside this apparatus deployed in the Pax Bachelor graduation speech and motivated poster. It authorized the injunction that brave deviation produces success. Here we can see the self-help books, the institutional home between 1991 and 1996. US self-help book publication increased by nearly 100%. Frost's poem appear in over 400 books titled. Risks and the responsibility must be borne solely by the individual. Precarity and the hustle subject. Artistic designer and the media worker have taken center stage as the supposed creative class of model entrepreneurs in which risk and responsibility must be borne solely by the individual. Culture works face a preponderance of temporary, intermittent, and precarious job, long hours, and the bulmic pattern of working, the collapse of the boundaries between the work and play, poor pay. Gill and Party identify anxiety increase and individual shame as endemic features of creativity field, the attractive cost of believing one precarity is chosen lifestyle. The myth of meritocracy. The myth of meritocracy has its original in the just world phenomenon. The cognitive desire to view our society as just a legitimate. Upwardly mobile members of the disadvantaged group are mostly likely to adopt meritocratic explanation because doing so offered hedonic benefits to minimizing the unpredictable, unjust, and oppressive aspect of social reality. The poem's cultural function, I took the one less traveled by and that has made all the differences, sustain the meritocratic myth by attributing outcome to individual choice, no structural conditions. Here we can find the difference between three of them: the road not taken, self-help literature, and hustle culture. The agent in the road not taken is the solitary traveler, no social context. In self-help literature, it is automatized, autonomous, self-governing individual. In the hustle culture, solo entrepreneur, risk born individually. The choice in the road not taken, we know that there are two roads. In the self-help help book, there is a life we have to choose. And in the hustle culture, precarious labor. Narrative move, speaker William will claim the one less traveled by. In the self-help literature, the self-dissolution, and in hustle culture, success story. In the hustle subject, Selekal writes that making choice has become a very lonely act. Gill and Part note that creative workers experience anxiety, insecurity, and the individual shame as structural features of their field. He bet his sweet life on a poetry. It was my rather private just as the expenses of the or those who might think I would yet live to be sorry for the way I had taken in life. Finger conclude the poem was for Frost moving a shifting thing. The poem's inflective instability model that very mechanism Silecal and Rimkel theorize the subject who doubt his choice narrates them retrospectively as triumphant. In the critical reflection, the argument established that poem structural irony encoded the same ideological oppression. What the primary text resists that the poem is genuinely polysemous, or knowledge is it's both is and isn't about individualism. The argument cannot settle is whether literary criticism can on its own function as resistance to a structural condition it describes or whether it merely add another layer. In the justification, the hypothesis is sustained with the revision. The poem anchored a critique of autonomous individual choice and simultaneously demonstrates why that critique cannot to deliver cleanly because it polysemic make available to the very ideological interrogative. The road equally traveled, and the conclusion is the self-help literature exalts the individual over the social and negates the inherent social of being. Roads are built by previous travel, one equally by the other passages. Poem word road rather than path insists sociality. The Harvard Law Reviews just a word phenomenon, Selekal tyranny of choices, guilt parrots precise creative subject, and the Rimkes govern citizens all named the same oppression. The poem stages and ironious. Hustle culture is first poem without the admission in stanza 2. It keeps the one less traveled by and the discard the really about the same. Here is all work cited and thank you all. Here now welcoming question.
My question to you: how does modern influencer culture on a platform like Instagram and YouTube amplify the myth of individual choice and structural erase?
If we see in the presentation, the hustle culture and modern media influencer, they discarded, they only showing that all they break their wealth is comes from their hustle, like they wake up at the 5 a.m. and working hard. But if we see the real is their parents are very wealthy so that they can time pass on social media and and collect the wealth, and because of them the real hard worker who work whole day and night but failed to collect wealth, They shamed themselves and they discarded the structural eraser.
My question is, how can contemporary workplace trends like quiet quitting be understood as a direct reaction against the hustled subject analyzed in the presentation?
If we see quiet quitting, it is a really recent trend. If we see hustle culture, it tricks people with if they do unpaid overtime and do the work without the paying. It is heroic work. But in the quiet quitting, we can see the employees are work only what they paid for, do nothing. And because of them, they employ their decline the overwork pressure and tension, and they share their problem in social media and connect with other employees. They can see that this is problem with everyone, not with individual, and this is the workplace problem. Thank you, everyone.